If you think about that as just a 401k, it'll just be a 401k. If you think about that and manage it like a CEO, to your point, into a business, it changes the mindset around that investment account or that investment portfolio.
That's exactly it. If we think of it very simply, if a family walks in and they make $250,000, right? Both people are working, they're making $250,000. You think of that over the course of their next 10 years, pay raises, bonuses, inflation. Well, they're at least going to make 2.5 million over the next 10 years. They're likely to make $3 to $3.5 million is going to come in over the course of the next 10 years. If $3 million showed up, how many problems could we solve if we managed it really, really well and we thought of it like a business, like we are CEOs?
Welcome back to the Chasing Goalposts podcast. Now, if you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know I love diving into financial strategies, and even more so, the systems behind them. That's why I'm especially excited about today's guest. Stephen Soderstrom has spent over 20 years as a private wealth advisor with Ameriprise Financial, but what really stands out is the systems he's built, not just for his clients, but also for his own family. It's all about creating more time, more choice, and freedom from financial stress. Stephen, welcome to the Chasing Goalposts podcast.
Thanks, Dustin. Excited to be here.
Well, let's dive right in, man. We've got a lot to unpack today. Before we get into our specific questions, maybe give us an overview on how you got here.
Yeah, so how I became an advisor for the past 20 years has been quite a journey. I graduated, I was going to be a teacher, spent some time in the high school. And one of the days I was, I graduated, I was in a long-term sub position at a middle school. And one of the days I came home and my wife had actually taped this show on Oprah for me. Yeah, it was about money. So it was Oprah's show. It was about money. And just as normal, Oprah had a book associated with it. So because it was about money and I love finances, I went out, I bought the book, read it in a day, and essentially said, I'm not going to teach high school kids. I'm going to teach money. This is way more fun, way more exciting to be able to do. And so Oprah, one show, one book, and it changed my life. And we've been able to impact hundreds of thousands after that. So,
And how long have you been doing the wealth advisor?
21 years.
21 years, 2 decades. Well, congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I love it. It's my favorite thing to talk about, favorite thing to be a part of, favorite thing to continue to read and learn about. So, I just love financial planning, the impact that it has on families, and I love being a part of it.
Well, we're going to get deeper into some of these strategies, which I'm really excited about today. And maybe before we do that, you talked about, the book and Oprah. Maybe let's start with your book, recent launch, Paycheck to
Yeah.
Prosperity. I personally really enjoyed the book. Just for those of you out there that enjoy financial books, you're going to love this book. For those of you that don't love financial books and feel like they're boring, you need to pick this book up. And the reason why I say that, it's really easy to understand. Stephen's got illustrations in there and models that you can really learn from, and it's really easy read, large writing. I think I went through that, Stephen, in like 2 or 3 hours, right? So maybe give us a little bit more, background on why you wrote the book.
Yeah, this book has really been a labor of love. I've been so fortunate over the course of these 20 years to have clients just kind of see the passion that I have for this subject. And clients even just stop me and go, "Have you written a book before?" And so I felt like, and I knew, and I was told by enough people, there's a book in there. There's something that's in there. And I really wanted to be able to look back in my life and my career and know that I did everything I could do to make a positive impact, not only in the clients that I serve, but in the people even that I don't serve, right? That we can make a positive impact in the world. And so I wanted to be able to look back in my career and say, I did everything I could to improve people's lives. And part of that was putting these ideas down that are free. They are the answers to the test. I've always said, I'll give you all of the answers to the test for free. And that's what we tried to do, was to be able to put this in the book, so that people can have a chance to continue to improve their lives, every single day.
No, that's great, man. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but we'll make sure that people know where to get the book. We'll touch on it later in the podcast to make sure that everybody knows where to go get their hands on this, and then they can get reading it right away. In the meantime, why don't we pivot a little bit to G4, which is your wealth advisory practice. What does G4 actually stand for?
Yeah, Dustin, thanks. G4 stands for goals, growth, guidance, and generations, right? Very simply, everybody's got goals. Everybody's got something they want to achieve. Everybody's got something that they're aspiring to, wish they could be better at, something that they also want to be able to look back on and be really proud of. And so one of those G's is we want to be able to look back and say, we did everything we could to be able to achieve that piece of it. Growth, it's easy to say that growth comes in assets and in money, but I think more importantly, growth is going to come in behaviors, mentality, mindset, maturity. Those pieces is where that growth is going to come from. And we want to see that in our clients as well. Guidance is really just about that teacher in me. It's that teaching side of things to be able to help guide and navigate people from where they are to where they want to go as quickly, smooth, and easily as possible. So guidance is certainly a clear one, is to continue to meet with us, continue to be with the advisors, is that this isn't just a, oh man, I haven't met with my advisor or my partner in a year. It's constant communication, constantly checking in and guiding you throughout the entire years, and decades for us. And then my favorite is actually the generations. It's the fourth G, which is generations. And it's very simple to say, um, we have generations of families with us. And that's pretty neat that we've got kids, parents, grandparents. We've even got great grandparents. There's 4 generations of families that are with us, which is neat. But I think it's actually more powerful for us to think and feel that for every hour, for every time that we get to spend with a client, for every time they get to improve their lives, it's going to last so much longer than our time together. The work that we get to do with clients will actually be impacting kids and people I don't even know for years that are so far down the road. Like, how fun is that to think of? Is that the work that you do potentially 100 years from now is still going. Like, that's pretty neat. And so that's the fourth G is generations. It's absolutely my favorite one. And I believe it's the work that we continue to do is to impact people's lives so far beyond my time here.
Yeah, when I read it and then hear you talk about it, I think generational wealth, and we've talked about this a little bit too, is, that first goal, I think, and this is just my opinion of this, but that first goal is, freedom. And freedom we've talked about is like independence and purpose, right? And then beyond independence and purpose, you're like, okay, what's next? What am I building for? And I think when I hear generations and I hear you talk about it, when I read about it, I think legacy. And I think a lot of people don't think about legacy until they're maybe in their late 30s or late 40s. Everybody's different, but that's what I was really thinking about that whole time. It's like, hey, goal one is freedom, which Morgan House will say is independence and purpose, right? Then goal two, and a little bit longer down the road, is legacy. So would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's the best part, right? Is that, we aspire to the bare minimum to be able to retire. There's so many people that get to do that. But boy, if we do it right, if you can start young enough, if you can have the right strategies in place, the right systems in place, you're going to be able to impact so many more lives beyond the one that you're in right now. It's just a really unique opportunity to improve families and your kids and grandkids. Um, that we get to be a part of. And so it's pretty neat to be able to lead in that.
Got to be fulfilling for you as an advisor, and obviously
It's really,
in finance.
really rewarding. I mean, it's the same enthusiasm that you have, as becoming a teacher, is wanting to improve people's lives. But
Mhm.
this one and this topic, I just love it even more, is you get some great students and you get to keep them for 20 plus years. You get to keep great students for a long period of time and change lives. So yeah, super rewarding.
Well, that's awesome, man. One of the things that you had said in your previous response was something around behaviors. And so I'm a big fan of behavioral finance. We kind of talked about, the Morgan Housel dynamic earlier, but maybe take us through what you see as maybe some of the most common behavioral hurdles when individuals are, managing their finances.
Yeah, behaviors are really tough. They're such an indicator of what's going to be success. And the number one indicator of somebody's success is their ability to handle or have delayed gratification, right? Which is, am I willing to put in work today for something that I don't see today? Am I willing to go to the gym today and not walk out completely ripped and jacked and have, right? Am I willing to go and see such small marginal gains? Am I willing to do that? And that's overwhelmingly, we know that's the number one behavior that if we could have a chance to create. And the challenge is that everything in the world around us tells us not to do that. Right? Everything around us is you deserve this today. You've got to get this today. You only look good in this today. You need this now. You deserve this now. Right? All of those things. And so the world is spending billions of dollars every day just trying to infiltrate our minds to have everything but do work today and get something tomorrow. So that's overwhelming the hardest behavior for people to have a chance and come by.
Yeah, one of the things that, it's that push-pull between delayed gratification, what do they call it now? YOLO, you only live
Yeah.
once, so people are
Yeah.
that and that pull back and forth, and obviously there's probably a happy medium in there, but, you appreciate you sharing that. So, anything else related to behaviors?
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely right. This feeling of it's never enough. That's a really big challenge that we have is that, oh, I need more. And we know this feeling, right? I mean, we know this as soon as you get a new car, it's super exciting. It's good. And 3 months later, it's maybe not enough. You got a pay raise, you got a bonus, you did it, you got a promotion, and then it's not enough. And so it's this challenge of defining, what is success? What does that mean to me? What do I want it to be? And then having it be enough. Right? And it's the challenge that we also have is this confusion between stress and happiness, right? And I speak about this in the book is this understanding that we only have this bucket and we only have two things that are in this bucket, and it's happiness and stress. And that's it. That's all that we have in our life. And what we find is that we believe that if I get I get jet skis, I get a nice boat, that's going to bring me amazing happiness. When in fact, what we know is that now I've got a boat payment, I've got to use it, I got to fix it, I got to repair it, I got to pay insurance on it. And in fact, in many cases, it actually improves, our stress goes up. And in this bucket, stress will fill the bucket first. And so if stress fills our bucket, it leaves no room for happiness. And so instead, if we can remove stress, the happiness will flow in. And it's just this confusion between what will bring me happiness and what I actually spend my money on. And if we could redefine behaviors, it's that simplification that just buy the things that have things in your life that lower stress. And in fact, happiness will come flooding in.
I love that the way you talked about that, and one of the things I wanna pull out of there is you initially said defining success, and I think that's such an important point and really transitions into the next question I have for you, and I think the audience is gonna be really interested in this. As part of your G4 cash flow model, that number one step is goals. You hit on something in the book that for me, I've had to really work hard at and define for myself, the past couple of years. And that's identifying what's truly important to each and every one of us. And that's not an easy thing to do, right? When you say what's important to you and defining that and defining success comes into that. But maybe can you give us a bit more context here on the importance of this exercise and the impact it's had on your clients?
Yeah. So, I mean, our goal is your goal. Whatever your goal is that you want to achieve, our goal is to try to figure out how to make that happen. And part of that as well, part of having the chance to make sure your goals happen is actually holding you accountable to things that you didn't tell us were important, right? Or a priority for you. And so what I mean by that is, somebody may want to go on this amazing trip, right? They want to go and they want to go on this huge trip. But then instead of putting money into the travel or for that specific purpose, they come along and we buy something else, right? A shiny object comes along and we get something else. And that money that was supposed to go over here is now kind of gone. And we do that 2 or 3 times. And then the trip comes around and then we go, where's that money for the trip? Right. And so what we want to have a chance to do, what Kelly and I were very fortunate to do when we were young, was see all of these clients and all of these goals that they wanted to achieve and all of the reasons that they missed them. They missed the goals. And so a lot of that just being having the right mindset and the right and actually defining the goals that somebody wanted to achieve. So it's just putting those on paper, being willing to be held accountable to them, and then comparing every action towards that goal. And that's it. Does this action get me closer to that goal or further away to what my true north is and to what my real goal is that I want to achieve? Again, I want to be able to look back every year and be proud of what I did, what I lived, how we did things. And sometimes that's not always easy, but to have somebody else hold you accountable to it and have a true goal and a true north is really, really important to success.
So I would say that that's probably simple but not easy. Is that a fair assessment?
Overwhelmingly. Overwhelmingly. It's easy to say you should have goals, and then it's really hard to always do them, right? I mean, it is it is admirable those that are running marathons, that are, right, doing endurance events, that are doing something amazing, that something that they had to work for when they would have much rather gone out with their friends, done something different, right? Slept in, whatever it may have been, whatever it is that even your listeners have had a chance to achieve, everybody has something in their life that they know I worked hard for this. And I'm really proud that I achieved it. And all that we need to do is take that idea, take that thing that they've accomplished and extrapolate it with money and financial goals. But yes, it's very simple to say, but it is hard to do at 5 a.m. when it's dark outside and you'd rather be sleeping and you get up and you do that difficult thing. You're really proud when it's over, but it is difficult to do when that alarm goes off.
Yeah, we can 100% relate to that. And the other thing that we can relate to, which is interesting, is we talk a lot on this podcast about paying yourself first, that concept. And then we have this thing called the 5 bank account system where we're laying out different bank accounts. But really, you combine those into a program that anyone can implement. And that's what I loved about the
Yes.
book, loved about the system. So I understand that, there's going to be more information in the book, but maybe a bit more of a detailed overview. But could you give us a high level overview of how this system works?
Yeah, I think it's first to start with really what were the main problems that we were really looking to solve. And these problems really happened in my life. And then I saw them happening in clients' lives, but I really didn't develop a system until they started also happening in my life. Right? And so the first problem that I was really looking to solve, even in my own life. So this is me. I'm a nerd. I love money. I love finance. This is my favorite thing to do. And the tough part is that my wife, Kelly, is a normal person, completely normal. She doesn't want to look at spreadsheets about stuff. She doesn't want to track stuff or analyze stuff. And so it was finding that balance between somebody who's super nerdy and then somebody who's actually just a normal person. How do we do this? And the number one question that we had was that every year, for example, you get to the end of the year, or even when we would do our taxes, right? We do our taxes and you go, oh my gosh, look at how much money we made. And then you look at each other and you go, where did it all go? Right. And sometimes for the first time, you see what you made this year versus what you made last year. And you're looking at each other going, well, we made more money. Where is it? Right? And you just kind of go, I don't really know where it went. So that was a problem that even we faced. Even somebody who was nerdy in finances, right, would face that same problem. The second problem that I saw was when clients came in, their number one problems and number one things they wanted to talk about were not, where do I organize my investments? They weren't, boy, how do you think about the international markets at this exact time? That was not their number one problem or their number one question, right? Their number one challenge was, I got to buy a new car. How do I do it? I've got a home repair project that I'd love to get done. How do I make that happen? Right? I've got kids' sports and activities that are coming up. I've got college. And what their problems that they really came in with were real life problems. Right now, in my life, we have 4 kids. We started running into those exact same problems. And so the goal then was, how do I build a system that solves these problems even before they become problems? Right? One of the things that we talk about now is that success is based on the problems you're solving. Everybody has a set of problems. Everybody has 100 problems. Which ones are you dealing with? And if you're dealing with the same problem over and over and over again, we're not getting ahead. Right? We can't get to the next level of problem. And so every year we had hockey payments. Every year we had dance and gymnastics and volleyball and whatever it may have been. So and that would be a problem every time. So we needed to build a system that would actually solve these problems ahead of time. And the third one was I wasn't going to work forever. I wasn't going to work till 65. I wasn't going to work till ever. I wasn't going to work till 60. I was going to work, I didn't believe that life was meant for me to be working for 40 plus years the whole time, right? If I've got one shot at this thing, it's not meant to be working. And so I wanted to figure out, how can I buy time? All right. The greatest asset that we can get is, how can I do that? And so these were things that I found not only did I have in my own life, but then clients would also walk in with the exact same problem. So I knew we had to fix something. And it really got to me when I told this client, we had this meeting, and I sit down with them and I say, right, we do all the math, all the planning, all the numbers, and we go, okay, you need to save $10,000 a year to reach your retirement goal. And they look at me understandably and say, well, we don't have $10,000 a year extra for me to reach your goal. I said, okay, well, that's what the data says that you need. This is what math says that you need to achieve. And what really hit me was 6 months later, that exact same client walks into the office and says, Steve, guess what? I got a $10,000 raise. And I said, perfect, right? Round hole, round peg. This is it. You're going to retire. We're going to make it happen. You're on track. And then the client goes, well, we bought a boat. We're going out to eat more. And I don't know where that $10,000 is. Right? And it was just like, no, we have to change something, because this is all the time. This is everybody that's out there, right? Whether it's your listeners, whether it's your listeners know somebody like this is exactly what happens, and it's fixable. And so these were the problems that we were trying to solve. How we solved them was based on a couple of theories that we also found. One theory was, if the money was in your checking account, you were likely to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was the first theory. Right. The second one, right, was if we ran this thing like you were CEO of a business, how would a business run their finances? And 3, how can we solve problems that we know you're going to have today? All right. So if we have money at home, we know that we're going to spend it. And so very simply, what we find is similar to somebody's 401k, is that nobody's ever thought of tapping into their 401k, right? They just go, oh, that's money that's in a 401k. I won't touch it. It's already there. I've saved money into it. I can't spend it. And so what we actually found was that if we change the flow of money, we could build a similar system. And clients will walk in and they'll say, yeah, but I saved 10%, or people walk in, I save 15% into my 401k. And I'm thinking, that's great. You have a good idea for 15%, but what about the other 85% of your dollars? And so what we actually very simply did was change the flow of money. And what we did was we took clients' paychecks and we deposited it to a separate financial institution. Right? So we take our clients, they deposit it to a separate institution. And then what we do is we recreate that paycheck from institution one to their bank at home. So say, for example, they spend $10,000 a month. That's what they spend. That's their number. That's what they're making today. So $10,000 goes into bank one, or institution one, and $10,000 gets transferred to institution number 2. That's their bank at home, and that's where they live. So the exact same dollar amount gets spent, gets moved over. But what happens is, we also know that over time, your income is going to go up. And so as your income goes from 10,000 to 11,000 to 12,000, if we still only move 10,000 from bank one to your bank at home where you live from, guess what? You're only going to spend 10,000. And in this first place where all the money showed up, you're now going to save $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. And over time, it grows. When that bonus shows up, it doesn't automatically show up in the bank account that you live from. Right? When that third paycheck a month shows up, when that tax return shows up, now you're not spending it. Right? And if you ran your business like a CEO of a business, you know that that's the smart way to do it. If you thought like a CEO of a company, that's the way that we run it. All right? And then you solve problems over time. You solve problems ahead of time. And so Kelly, my wife, actually runs the finances of our family. And she would come in and she'd say, well, hockey's a problem, right? This was a challenge. She would say Christmas time. Sometimes that could be a financial challenge for folks, is covering that. Kids sporting events. It could be before school. It could be car repairs, home repairs. And so then out of that money, what we actually try to do is set up transfers to savings accounts specifically for problems that we don't have yet. So part of our budgeting and part of our strategy is to help encourage, if I move money to a car account just to pay for car repairs, pay for repairs, and buy a future car in cash. I know that I'm going to have problems. I know that I'm going to need new tires. Solve that problem today with a car account. I know that I'm going to want to leave the state. I know that I'm going to want to travel. So put money in a travel account. I know that Christmas is going to come along. I know that December is going to be an expensive time. So solve that problem today. And then you have money with a purpose every single time.
Oh, that's great. A couple things there that I pulled out just as you were talking, and obviously tons of great information in what you just talked about. First one's lifestyle creep, something that we all deal with, and you kind of talked about it like, hey, I got a $10,000 raise and it's gone, right? And even us that are in this finance, well, I'll call myself a nerd too, right? In the finance game every single day, every single week, the finance or lifestyle creep is just inevitable. And so how do you manage through it? The second piece that I heard there throughout this, the last answer there was people aren't always chasing money. They're chasing something else. And in most cases, it's time to do what they want, time to spend with family. Right. So that was the other piece I took away from your answer there, in addition to obviously the great system. But the last thing I want to really hit on for the audience, and I think this is a huge topic, and I actually want to do a separate podcast episode on this, and that's running your finances like a business.
Yeah.
Very few of us run and think of our finances as a business. Like you said, I'm going to put my money in a 401k. It goes every 2 weeks there. But are we thinking about that as growing my income, growing my revenue, right? If you think about that as just a 401k, it'll just be a 401k. If you think about that and manage it like a CEO, to your point, and to a business, it changes the mindset around that investment account or that investment portfolio.
That's exactly it. If we think of it very simply, if a family walks in and they make $250,000, right? Both people are working, they're making $250,000. You think of that over the course of their next 10 years, pay raises, bonuses, inflation. Well, they're at least going to make 2.5 million over the next 10 years. They're likely to make $3 to $3.5 million is going to come in over the course of the next 10 years. Right? How many problems, if $3 million showed up, how many problems could we solve if we managed it really, really well and we thought of it like a business, like we are CEOs, and we remove some of the emotion from $3 million? When we plan $3 million a little more thoughtfully than we do right now, when we're just kind of living in it. And so absolutely run this thing like a CEO, run it like a business. You've got a multi-million-dollar business. You're going to have millions of dollars that's going to flow through this thing. It feels like we should spend a little bit more time organizing, being thoughtful of it, planful of it. And if we do that, the outcome is tremendous. It's absolutely fantastic what you can plan for and what you can achieve if you're able to spend some time doing that.
Amen. I love the conversation. This is like I said, it's a separate topic totally. Maybe we can do another podcast on this. That's like, there's enough here to dive in and put another 30 minutes into this, but obviously we're not going to have time with that today, but I do want to stick with that mindset. We talk about that mindset shift to running it like a business, and throughout your book, you bring attention to the role of mindset in any financial transformation. Maybe could you give us, myself and the people in the audience, a little bit more of an idea of what you mean by this?
Yeah, I think that mindset really comes. So for example, we've all seen somebody, somebody that we haven't seen for 3 years, for example, right? We run into them and whether they've worked out for 3 years straight, whether they've been biking across the country, whether they've been, right? What have they turned themselves into over 3 years? And when you see them, you may see a physical transformation and you go, wow, what'd you do? Right? We immediately want to know what they did. Right? And the reality is sure, they took a bunch of action, but they also had a mindset of, I'm going to achieve something for a greater good, right? I'm going to have that idea for delayed gratification. I'm going to go to the gym even when I don't really want to. And we're really impressed. And many times we're admirable. And then we say something like, I wish I could do that. Right? And what we're looking for is the mindset of the people who are going, I want to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to make major steps. I'm going to take these steps to improve. And that's the mindset that we're looking for. Usually, our clients are walking in, they're already high performers. They're probably actually already good at what they do. They're good at whether it's in the corporate world, whether they've built a business, whether they've been successful as a youth, right, through college, as adults. They're usually high performers, and they're usually walking in going, I know I can be better. I know I can be pushed, and I want a usual outcome. I want an outcome that is better than the average. And they have a similar idea is, I don't want to work forever. That is not what my life is about. How do I buy time? And so they come in with this mindset of, I'm willing to be pushed. I want those pieces. I'm willing to have a leader. And that just takes a mentality. Most in don't want to push the clients or try to extract as much as possible out of them. And I really feel like people can be so successful if they're open-minded to that planning and open-minded to that push. We can get a lot more than what we usually see out of folks.
Yeah. I mean, I think the headline here for me is don't underestimate the power of your mindset when you're trying to achieve, whatever you are trying to achieve. And so, really, really appreciate and love that part of the book. Again, there's so many good points out there for the audience to dive into here with the book. But, Stephen, we're going to start to wind this down in the back stretch here a little bit, but we have covered a lot of topics here today, all of them near and dear to my heart. You've got the G4 Cashflow Model, which we gave us kind of a sneak peek at, and again, more in the book. The importance of defining, success for ourselves, and the mindset really required for a successful financial transformation, which you just went through. I'm sure the audience is going to be intrigued to learn more, and therefore maybe help us understand where's the best place or channel to access your book, which is titled Paycheck to Prosperity.
Yeah, they can request a copy of our book at g4financialfreedom.com. And our team will be able to connect and get a book right out to them. And we'd be happy to have a chance and send that out. The goal here is to improve lives. The goal is, as a teacher, it doesn't matter where they're at or where they might be sitting at today. If you're a great teacher and a C student walks in and says, I'm looking for help, you're going to help them. You're going to make a difference. And g4financialfreedom.com is a great place to start and get a book request sent out to them.
So, well, that's great. G4 Financial Freedom. We will get that in the show notes for anybody that wants to click on that link and get the book from Stephen. Stephen, maybe, for those that want to reach out to you directly, would it be LinkedIn the best place to go to connect with you there?
LinkedIn is certainly a great spot. Steve Soderstrom, g4wealth.com as well is where our team is at. We'd love to have a chance, and you can request a visit with myself. We'd be happy to hear what's important to you, share a little bit more, about the steps or strategies that we may take that clients use to improve their financial lives, and see if that's a good fit. So.
Perfect. Yeah. So just again, for the audience's awareness, we're going to get the link to the book, the link to the wealth advisory if you want to get connected with Stephen and his team. If you want to connect with Stephen personally, if you're good with it, Stephen, we'll put your LinkedIn link there as well, and that way people can access it. But Stephen, I think first and foremost from our side, from the Chasing Goalposts side, thank you for taking the time to join us today. Again, tons of great information. I really want to close with this quote. And you referenced this quote towards the end of the book, and the quote is, I'm going to read it here, is, math is easy, life is hard. You have the choice between awesome and average. Get after it. And I want to say it one more time to the audience. Here's this. Math is easy, life is hard. You have the choice between awesome and average. Get after it. Acknowledging it'll be tough to beat that statement, Stephen. Before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Success isn't an accident. It's achievable for every person who wants it. It just takes purpose. It takes a mentality. It takes action. And we've been doing it in clients' lives for over 20 years. And we're looking forward to continuing to improve people's lives for the next 20 as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man, for your time. And I think we're probably due to do this again. And maybe we'll talk about running your business running your investment portfolio as a business as our next topic. So
I look forward to it. Thanks, Dustin.
thanks, man. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Chasing Goalposts podcast. Just a reminder for everyone that all of our disclaimers can be accessed via www.chasinggoalposts.com/disclaimers. We'll see you next episode.